what's interesting is the correlation, and why I brought it back to that is a huge reason that you believe that you beat cancer, right? Your wife passed away,
Right.
and she passed away from a brain tumor and cancer,
Right.
and
Right.
it was horrible because you had already beat cancer once. You
Right.
now decided to do all the things that you knew were bad for you. You went into essentially a depressed state. You're a therapist. You know what's going on in your own body, but you're doing it anyway because you are heartbroken,
Right.
and you are diagnosed again. You decide to take control in a positive manner. But the correlation to Ted Lasso, the correlation goes beyond Kansas and beyond Premier League. Excuse me. It really goes into optimism and opportunity. And when
Right.
presented with challenges, everything that show was, when someone asked me about that show, you know what I tell them? If there was ever a show that everything you wanted to happen happened, this is the show for you. It
Yeah.
was the right environment, the right messaging, the right humans, like just a great storyline, but it was all based on highly positive, optimistic mindset, gratitude, focusing on what you could and couldn't control. It goes
Right.
right back to Viktor Frankl. You have that tiny response time where you get to choose whether or not how you receive that information. Well, wow, Scott, you're bald. I can decide to say, wow, is he joking on me? He's really making fun of me. What's wrong? Or I can say, yes, I am. Thank you. Right. I have that choice, but how we receive that information is really big. And you also, I'm going to add one more part and then I'm going to let you run because
Sure.
we,
Sure.
we share that ADHD thing together. So I know we could both go.
We do, don't we?
So you're, the other point that I think is important is you also believe that cancer has kind of these external and internal indicators or things that can pop up inside of you. And I relate highly. I knock on wood, thank God I have not battled cancer, but I've had autoimmune and inflammatory issues many, many times in my life. And the way that I respond to stress is inside, meaning
Right.
that it's not external. Here in my brain, I feel fine, but the
Right.
body is screaming from the inside out. And this is extremely important because you witnessed this. So I correlate to Ted Lasso. I bring it back to optimism and pessimism, but I really would like you to speak just briefly on some of the tools and the mindset that you've really adapted that have helped you not only in the cancer fight, but in everything you're doing.
Right. Yeah. I think it's really concentrating on, as silly and as cliche as it sounds, people just don't do it. It's one of the hardest disciplines to follow, and that is staying in the moment. I One of the things that just shocked me is when I was just tormented by grief is if I called it striking myself stupid. If I forgot about the past and pretended I'd never had any past and pretended I never had a future, that today I was almost an alien dropped on the earth to experience what it's like to be human, I found that magically, mysteriously, even, I was fine. In this moment, no matter what's going on, I'm fine. And most of us are, unless something critical is happening. Because the torment, all of my grief came from missing my wife and all the memories I had from the past, and the fear of what it would be like to live without her in the future. But today I'm fine. Today I'm fine. So I always concentrate on what I call micro moments. Right now, I get to be here with you. I didn't know that I was going to get to be here with you even days ago.
Right.
But all of a sudden, I'm meeting a guy that, man, I got a ton in common with, and I'm having a great conversation. I'm going to juice on that for days. And that wouldn't have come if I'd have gotten way too far ahead of myself or way too far behind myself. And most of us are. And the problem with this modern digital age is we are just so stuck to our digital devices. We are training our brain to never be in our body at any given time. And so most of us are what I call walking zombies. We're just sleepwalking through life. And I have been given this chance to actually be in my body, feel the good, the bad, and the ugly, and enjoy all of it. And so I'm going to take every chance I get, and I don't know how much longer I have, but I'm going to take every chance I get to be alive. And that is huge. So what I try to do is just every day treat it like a one-off. A lot of my friends think it's morbid, but I mean, today, here we are. What is it? The 28th. I pretend this is the last September 28th I'm ever going to get. How do I want to spend it? How is it different from other September 28ths? How can I make it the best September 28th I've ever had? And they're like, geez, Dean, that's so morbid. And I'm like, no, maybe it would be for you, but for me, it keeps it fresh and I don't get lazy. The other thing I do, Scott, is every night before I go to bed, I zero out. I wipe that heart and mind clean. I imagine I go through my day. I notice what emotions I've felt that have been negative, hard, stressful. I let myself feel it and I let it go. I either forgive myself for being a total idiot or I forgive others for being less than perfect. Anything I've experienced, I feel it and I let it release. I breathe it out. My faith base is I give it to God. Say, you know, I pretty much screwed it up, did my best. You take this, or, oh my gosh, I think they're a horrible person, but you made them. So I give it back to you.
And how much
They're
freedom
yours to
and
do.
how much freedom does that, I mean, it's so interesting. There's two parts I want to hit on here because I believe that that is the freedom that most people are lacking. Like we actually think the more you think you can control everything, the more out of control your life actually is. And so every night
Oh,
when you wipe it clean and you say, hey, God, I had a great day. Thank you for all the things that happened today. And here's some of the challenges, but I leave them with you. That's what you just said. That
yeah,
is, it's freedom. There's a freedom there. And I think the other thing is when you be where your feet are and you
right,
actually focus on just the moments that you're in, we are usually good, but it's the times that we're thinking too much into the future or we're thinking too much into the past that we
right,
get lost in all
right,
of that mess. If we think too far in the past, we stay in a depressed state, right? If we think too far in the future, we're in an anxious state. So
right.
the creative space is really where we are right now. And you're right. You know, not knowing that we're going to have this conversation, but then getting to have it creates opportunity for new people, new conversations, new thought patterns. And, you know, that freedom that you have when you lay your head down to rest provides better sleep. If you like clips like this, I have a similar clip here. And if you want to watch the full video, click here.